Good morning and welcome to Saturday Morning Coffee. I am so thrilled to be here with you guys today. My name is Tiffany Linderman and I'm here with Lance McKinnon. How are you doing, Lance?
I'm doing great, Tiffany. Happy Saturday morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you doing? You said you're doing good?
Yeah, I'm
We
doing
have a
good.
guest?
I got my
Oh,
coffee
cheers.
here. Cheers to you. I got my coffee here. Yeah, yeah. Today we do have a special guest. This is a very, very special guest, all the way from Hawaii. A great friend of mine, Nick Maciangelo. Good morning, Nick. How are
Good
you
morning,
doing?
guys.
Good morning, cheers.
Cheers.
Everybody.
How's everything in Hawaii?
Nice to see you. It's beautiful, man. We have blue skies, nice trade winds, and sunshine.
Excellent, excellent. Hey, we thank you for taking time to take time out of your busy day on a Saturday to be on Saturday Morning Coffee. As you know, this is completely unfiltered, and it's about anything and everything that you want to talk about. But mostly important is about people who are making difference in people's lives, who are doing things. And man, your story is huge. And I don't know how we're going to pinpoint some aspects of it without having a continuation, but again, thank you, Nick. So if you just want to go ahead, man, dive into who's Nick Masciangelo.
Well, first, happy to be here, you guys, man. It's nice. Thanks for reaching out. I like what you're doing. Thanks for spreading goodness in the world. I really love that, and I'm happy to be here. Like I said. Lance and I have a upstate New York, Penn Yan, New York connection, and I'm very proud of that. It's one of my one of my favorite things in this world is that little town of Penn Yan.
Yes, yes. Yes, Tiffany has heard. She's heard a lot about Penn Yan, and she wants to be an honorary Mustang Nation. Yeah, but
I need to get there. Are we going today? Can we just make it happen today?
Today's a good day to do it. I mean, you want to go through the
Yeah.
summertime, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but Nick, you've been doing a lot of things, and we've been talking about a lot of stories. I mean, you're on Facebook, you're traveling, you've been on some movie sets. Got this awesome van that you just sold. Got a new one. You're doing a lot for the community in Hawaii. You're traveling. Your kids. You had a fabulous sister. There's a lot of things, but whatever's on your heart, man, let's just talk about it.
Cool. So I guess not to make it like a life story situation, but as far as the how it went in the beginning was I was born in Rochester, New York, and my grandparents lived in Penn Yan, and when it didn't work out with my mom and dad, there's a lot there in that story. But she took us to some land that my grandfather had in Penn Yan at Outlet Road, right by the waterfalls. Right, so we kind of inherited this land. I remember some of my first memories were us living there in a camper while my mom cleared the land, by herself. There was a train. There had been a train station on the property on the trail back in the day, and there's a story that somebody threw a Molotov cocktail and blew that thing up and burned it down or whatever. So when we got it, there was the ruins were there of this place, and then we had this huge property that went down a hill to the outlet trail, and the falls were right there, the waterfalls, which are pretty epic waterfalls. Tiffany, when you go, you have to go to that place.
And when I say when you go there, you have to inner tube from Keuka Lake to Seneca Lake the slow way, and then make sure you get off at the waterfalls.
Before you go down the waterfall.
Yes, before you go down. Key point of going down the outlet is make sure you get off before the waterfalls.
How high is it? Okay, I've not been there. How high is that?
Well, it's high enough to hurt.
Okay,
Yes,
I'll take that.
yes. The outlet's like a lazy river, but it's just a great way to spend a Saturday afternoon, chilling and hanging out with some guys and so forth like that. But you've been doing so much more. Go ahead, Nick. Continue.
Well, just to finish that up, man, because I'm thinking about it as we were talking about it, is as I'm doing yard work, this week and stuff, like literally watching my mom and Tiffany, my sister, clearing the land when I was too little, that really helped. And when they would take a big tree down right before it went down, they would be screaming, "Woman power!" I grew up with that. It was awesome. I think back.
Now Tiffany's gonna be yelling "woman power" now. Oh
Yeah.
my god, great!
Love it.
So yeah, we cleared that land and then and then ended up putting like a mobile home on it and grew up in that for a while. It's like 3 miles out of town. So as a kid, I guess I didn't realize how beautiful it was. I think, my sister and I were kind of hoping to be more in town, accessible to our friends and stuff. But yeah, I guess moving forward from there, we moved around quite a bit with, I moved like in 6th grade, I moved to Horseheads, New York, and then went to school there for a year. At one point, we moved to Virginia Beach for a summer. Thought we were going to live down there. And then we ended up back upstate New York. Like there was a bunch of different moves, but every school I went to made friends. Like everybody was cool. I think part of the socialization that I learned in the different schools, I could see similarities between people who I really had sympathy for, people who maybe weren't like high on the social ladder or whatever, like, the kids that maybe got picked on or, didn't come from the, had the kids that got picked on were the ones that I really
Connected with, right?
Yeah, connected with and empathized with. So
yeah.
we play lacrosse upstate New York at Penn Yan. One of my favorite things in life is the fact that when I was in Penn Yan, we had the Queeners to coach us. Mr. Harry Queener, he started a really amazing youth program that we were playing in since we were 7. And so athletics is a good way. I mean, when you're in those areas and in schools and stuff like that, athletics, if you're good at something, people like you, I was fortunate in that when I went to these different schools, I had that, but I was also I can make friends with the popular kids and, so I would always stick up for the kids that were, less popular, the kids that had a harder time. Yeah. I was quick to stand up for them and be like, hey, you're supposed to be cool, man. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, that I just recognized the similar patterns, I think, early on from different schools. Like it was always the same kind of dynamics happening. So anyway, I ended up moving from Penn Yan to Corning East to go there and play lacrosse, whatever. But things happen the way they happen. And after a couple years there, I was ready. Well, I got in a fight with the varsity coach. He told me to cut my hair. If I didn't cut my hair, I was, don't show up. So I went home and I had talked to my mom and I was like, Mom, he's not going to let me play. Thankfully, I had been like accelerated academically and I could, I already had all my requisites. I was already taking like courses, psychology and sociology from Syracuse University in high school in like 10th grade. So I had this fast track. And then once that happened, it was like, well, she said, let me make a phone call. She called the president of Tompkins Cortland Community College. They arranged for me to go take a test. I played an entrance exam, basically. I took that when I was 16. They came back with the results and said, hey, yeah, we can place him in college. We just need a a letter from his guidance counselor saying that he's socially and academically ready for college. And I had been like I moved to Corning in my freshman year, and by my sophomore year, I was the captain of the JV squad and student class president, like all these, things. So it was easy to say, yeah, he's ready. So I stopped going to Corning in November, and I was a college freshman at TC3 when I was 17 in January.
Absolutely amazing.
So
that I didn't know. That's a great story.
Yeah. And that led to everything, really, because I ended up going to after that first semester of college, my roommate came back, and I remember the moment. A roommate came back from class one day and said, "I'm going to Russia." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Dude, I'm taking a loan out, and I'm getting 3 credits for humanities, culture and transition, going to observe this, after communism fell." And I was like, "Wow, that sounds kind of interesting. Let me see if I can do it." And I did. So that's literally the beginning of the traveling, because it was after school ended, it was like 2 weeks later, I got on my first plane ever from JFK to Prague, Czech Republic. And it was a 2-week trip, essentially, where I met a girl on that trip. At the end of that trip, she was like, "Hey, what are you doing for summer?" And I said, "I'm just going to go see my friends, go to some concerts, nothing major, just summertime fun." And she's like, "Well, I have 2 tickets home, and you want to go for like a month with me home?" And I was like, "Well, where do you live?" And she said, "Honolulu." And I was like, "Yeah, I can do that. I can take next month before I go see my homies."
Yeah, I can do that.
So that's how I ended up in Hawaii for the first time. And anyway, fast forward 20 years or whatever. Now, here I am back in Hawaii after many, many miles traveled. Just happy to be in Hawaii. So there's a moment, like, as I was here, where my family called and kind of was like, "So what, Nick, you're going to be a beach bum forever? Like, what's the plan?" And I was like, "Oh, that kind of hurts, but maybe you're right." So I had started doing some acting things, and that's a different world, or a different story. But I ended up moving to LA, and it's a good thing that I did. At some point, my cousin called me and said, "Hey, man, you might want to come home because your pops is sick." And I was like, "Oh, that's never good news, right?" So I was like, I had a truck over there, and I was like, "Okay, can I drive across country?" And I was ready. I was preparing for that. He called back the next day. I was like, "Nah, he's okay, dude. Never mind. It's all good." And I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever. Okay, Dad, you okay? Cool. Everything's good." Couple of days went by, and then my cousin called me back. He's like, "Nah, dude, come home."
Yeah.
And so I immediately drove my truck to this place where they buy trucks on the spot. I was just like, "Just give me whatever, dude. I got to get on a plane." And that's what's up. Got on the plane, went to New York City, hung out with my dad for, he was in the hospital at this point. I'm happy I went there. It was a big deal. Anyway, he was going downhill pretty quick, and from a lifetime of, just things catching up to him. And thankfully I got to be there for that, and, tell him how much I loved him. And then he took his last breath, but not before I brought my half sister that had reached out to me and my sister Tiffany and found us on Facebook, saying, "Hey, is your dad Sam Masciangelo?" from Fairport, New York. And we were like, "What? Who's this?"
Wow.
He had come back from Vietnam, had a baby with another lady, and didn't work out. And for whatever reason, wasn't involved. And so we connected with her. Yeah, you're our sister. So that was a really big thing. She's awesome. Between her and my sister Tiffany, they just grew up in different areas. So Beth Ann grew up in Rochester, New York, which is like the city closest to the Finger Lakes, and my sister grew up in Penn Yan. So it was like country mouse, city mouse situation for sure. But I brought her and my nephew, her son, to the hospital when my dad was still there, and they were able to kind of talk, and I think kind of was like, "I'm sorry," and she was like, "Hey man, no, I forgive you. Like I have no cross to bear with you. Like this is water under the bridge kind of thing." So there was that. I'm going roundabout stories because there's so many, but
no, that's okay, because you know what? It's Saturday morning, and you know what? It's conversation, and I'm learning stuff that I didn't know. And like I said, I was great friends with Tiffany. God bless her heart. I think about her all the time. I remember driving out to the house. As you're sitting there explaining it, I'm getting a picture in my head of going out there. A couple years younger and everything else like that. But God bless her, sweetheart. And I know that was a moving point with you, and we kind of talked about it. And your life kind of changed a little bit, and kind of maybe explain. All of a sudden, we got a beard. We're in Hawaii, Hawaii 5-0.
I think you just came out with the beard, didn't you? I mean, you probably always had it.
Born with it.
Yeah, born that way. Yes.
So just to get to that point, like, so after my dad died, I was like, okay, well, the only place I really don't need a vehicle is New York City. Everybody, my family was already talking about like, trying to do some career situation, get up, don't be a beach bum. So I moved to New York City, and I got a job in production pretty quickly. The first one was this tattoo competition reality show. I was a production assistant on that for a while. And
did you go to school for production, or you just got into production?
No, yeah. So I had gone to school for physical education, kinesiology, which is a whole other lifetime away. You know what I mean? Like
I can't even spell that.
So I wanted to be a gym teacher and lacrosse coach out here in Hawaii.
Yep.
Based on Harry Queener's program,
Yep.
I was like, I'm going to bring lacrosse to the islands. In upstate New York, where we have fantastic programs, we're out there shoveling the snow, or we're running in the halls, indoors for the beginning of the season to get in shape. Whereas Hawaii's got like ultimate year-round tropical goodness. So my idea with that was like, hey, look, I grew up in the best program, so I know how to do it. These kids are already going to be athletically conditioned, by the ocean and just being outdoors. Like in my mind, I was like, dude, we'll be sending kids D1 in 8 years. 8 years of like, from the 7 to senior year, we're going to have some serious like ballers ready to get scholarships to D1 legendary lacrosse schools. So that was the intention. And so I started a youth league. I helped start another league. I had a lacrosse shop. It was the best lacrosse shop I had ever imagined. Lance, listen to this. So one half of the shop was the retail section. And the second half, which was the fun half, was all recreation. So it was like I had a pitching machine off to the side. I had the front part of the cage down a lane with a net and targets.
Yeah.
And a speedometer to clock the shots. So on this side was a brick wall, right? Like a cinder block wall, whatever. So you could be there playing wall
ball.
Yep, wall ball. As Harry says, your best friend is the wall because you can just get good passing and catching. And then the pitching machine would give you perfect feeds to step in and crank a shot on this goal that had targets, and then you could see how fast you were shooting. It was like my dream as a kid.
That is beautiful. Awesome.
However, it was like the cart before the horse type of thing here in Hawaii. It was like not a lot of kids, were hip to it. We were just trying to spread the word and build the market and stuff like that. And ultimately my life changed a little bit, and I was like, maybe this isn't it. Maybe not the lacrosse thing, because I really love lacrosse coaching, but the salaries for gym teachers out here doesn't really equate to a livable wage. So I was like, man, maybe I gotta think some other things through. So ultimately let it go, but the lacrosse league is still happening, and we did send a kid D1 to Onondaga.
Well, that's in New York. Yeah,
that's New York, and I'm not sure if they're D1, but we did send a kid D1, and that was a great feeling. But there's still kids coming out and initially you don't get the athletes, you get the kids that their parents are like, you got to get off the couch, bud.
Yeah, you got to do something.
Here's this new sport that nobody knows anything about. Like, come. So, we had a lot of kids growing up, during running and stuff like that. It was fun. But
we have a guest coming up here soon that's going to talk a little bit more about. We got a couple guests coming pretty soon. That's going to talk about some Mustang Nation lacrosse. I'm not going to spoil it.
I know who it is, and he's a cousin of one of my best friends. So I'm excited, and much love to the Queener family. That's what I got to say. Just thank God. Yeah, whoever kept that tradition alive from the Native Americans, and thank God they did.
So how did that lead you? Because I know I've seen pictures. I've been following you for years. I mean, I've seen you on Jurassic Park Studios. You were on Hawaii 5-0. So the production level led you into that?
So yeah, what happened actually with lacrosse, I got hired to go coach in Malibu, and I went to Malibu, and I'm like currently at the time rethinking all my plans and whatever. I was like, man, this acting thing's been in the back of my head. I took some theater things at Alfred State later on when I did go back and play lacrosse in college because I needed to and I wanted to. So then I started taking theater, and then when I came to Hawaii, I went to the University of Hawaii, and I was taking acting for film and television, and just kind of tasting it and seeing what was going on with that, because I always kind of felt like I could do it, and ultimately that led to at one point I decided. So to continue, when I was in Malibu, I was like, if I was going to do that, now's the time. Like, these parents of the kids that I'm playing with are all like in the business. They're showing up in Lambos and all this crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, this is the mecca of that. But I was focused on winning. We ended up going undefeated, winning the championship. Like, awesome game, 4 overtimes, the longest overtime I've ever seen. But we won the championship. I felt good about doing my job right. So I came home to Hawaii. I was like, man, maybe I missed an opportunity there to dip my toes in the acting thing. The day I got back to my apartment, I was in the elevator, and a guy I never seen before looked at me and he was like, hey, any chance you want to be in a commercial on Saturday? And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I'm shooting a commercial on Saturday, and we need some people. if you want to do that. And I was like, sure, that's crazy. I'll do that. That was my first.
No, you're only down for crazy things. Yeah.
Oh, I'm in.
Count
I was
me
just,
in.
right. And I ended up, that was the first time I was ever on a set, and they ended up using me as a stand-in, which is like, you know, before the actor comes in, they want to get the lights right and make sure he's, you know, everything's good, so that when he comes in, it's all good to go. There's no time wasted because he's the talent, you know. So yeah, that was the first time, and I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. Like, I really dug it, and then later they started filming Lost here, and at one point I ended up as a production assistant on that show, like day playing. You love that show? A lot of people love it. And it was great. It was great.
That was a great show.
So I ended up on that, and then from there I saw more and more of the way the different departments work with each other, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, I love it. I love everything about it, the production standpoint, and, you know, the entertainment value that it gives to people and all that. So I had decided I was going to give it a shot to be an actor, and I told myself I'll give myself 100 auditions. If I hear 100 no's, then I will let it go. But I tried, right? So I had that attitude, and I saw a casting for something local in Hawaii, which were these 24-hour film competitions, where they get like a line of dialogue, a prop, and a theme, and they all get it on Thursday or something like that. And then they have to write the story, whatever, do the thing, shoot it, edit it, and hand it back in on Saturday. I think that was the 48-hour film fest. And so I went to my first audition with the attitude of like, let's start stacking them no's, baby. You know, like, come on, I gotta figure this out. You know?
Yeah, make it rain.
So I walked in with like, I remember I had like, you know, ripped jeans and a t-shirt. I wasn't like trying to be anybody I wasn't, kind of thing, you know, and I went in with that attitude of like, I'm expecting a no. It's my first audition. Of course, I'm not going to get it. Right. So I went, read the thing. They gave me a couple other things to do just on the spot. So I did those to my best, you know, the best I could. And I left, and I was like, cool, that's first no, we got it. I think the next day they were like, hey, we'd like to cast you for these projects. So it was awesome. And I've since learned that when you have that attitude of like, you don't really need it or want it, or you don't necessarily need them to say yes. It's been my experience, and I've corroborated this with other actors, that every time you don't need it is when you get it. When you don't necessarily care, you get it. So there's something there. I don't know what it is, but it's real.
That's a great piece of nugget I'm going to take away. And I see Tiffany scratching her head. Like, that's a great nugget.
No, I love it. I think then too, you're mentally in a better spot, right? You're not going to beat yourself up in the end when you get the no. You're ready to take it on and keep going, right? So right. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, maybe, you know, when people are just like, man, I really need this. I really need this for everything. My life depends on this. You know what I mean? There's a desperation that probably comes through, and it's like, yeah, that's not what they're looking for. They want somebody that's going to be comfortable and be able to do the thing. There's, you know, be focused on the moment, whatever. You know, that's just my take. So I ended up doing a bunch of these 48-hour short film festivals, and that ended up being awesome. The guys I was working with were really good. They were like young kids that were working on Lost. They had access to like all of the equipment that makes something look good, lights and cameras and know-how. So I was really blessed to get, you know, aligned with those guys. And ultimately that just, I auditioned a bunch more. There's definitely a bunch of no's that I got along the way. I'm not sure if I'm up to 100, but it's possible. But I guess everything came out with the yeses, right? So Yeah, there was one time I went, it was right before my birthday. I went for a casting at Hawaii Five-0, and I had been on a few of them. I was pretty, I knew the casting director pretty well. She knew me and still does, but I'd read for her a few times and didn't get them. And then this last one, similarly, I went in and I was just like, I'm not getting this, but I'll go, and there's a guy gets chased and tackled and handcuffed, and there's the dialogue there. Pretty basic, but I did it. I left. Couple days went by. My birthday came, and my friend picked me up. I remember I was down to like my last $5 probably, and I think I was like, oh, whatever, it's my birthday, let's just go get, I think we got a beer or something, and it was just like, it wasn't the best of days. Like, we made the best out of it, but things were like rough. It was like, man, this is tough. Life's tough, but thankfully we have the beach here. We have sunshine. So
yeah, I got the bongos. I mean, you're good. Jam sessions.
Totally, those are free, man. Those are free. So, man, but that was the day I got the call from my agent. It was the first time my agent called me and was like, "Hey, you got it." And it was like such a blessing. I was like, "Oh my God, here we go." Like, okay, it's worth pursuing this. Let's go. Since then, there's been a lot of ups and downs too. It's not like that did anything that super trajected my thing, but it's a nice thing for my reel that I can show people and hopefully get more work. But as far as it goes, it's just a crazy life. So to just really to get back to the New York thing, I lived in New York, worked hard for about a year, and realized I was going to work, and then I was sleeping, and then going back to work and not getting ahead because the rent's so expensive, and it's like that's full rat race, right? So, and the job I wasn't doing wasn't like a high paid situation, right? I don't know how anybody does it, but I came back for the winter. Lived in a truck on the beach here, slept in bushes, surfed all winter, waited for
the truck that you just sold.
No, so this is the first truck.
Okay.
It was a loaner pickup truck, and it had racks on the back, so I'd put a surfboard, and if it rained, I'd put a tarp over the surfboard, so I'd have a little dry situation. So I backed up into one of the most iconic beaches ever, called Sunset Beach. And I would just sit there, watch the waves, play the drums, like, with anybody that wanted to jam, and sleep in the bushes essentially, or in the truck, whatever. But just waiting for the winter to stop in New York, and then I went back, did it again, and by that time I was like, yeah, no way, like this ain't it for me. I'm definitely gonna go be a beach bum for the rest of my life. And sorry, fam, I tried. Kind of you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. I'm done with New York winters too, bro.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm done with winters altogether. I need 72 and a slight breeze.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start growing it out, chilling.
There's nicer places.
Oh yeah, I'm coming out to Hawaii, and like you said, you're doing some amazing things out there, and I know it's just kind of like a tidbit of your story, because you've traveled the world, you've been on some major production sets, you've touched a lot of lives. I know God has been a big part of your life. Spiritually, you and I have had a lot of conversations back and forth about how we're being led, and it's all about giving back to the community. And when you give, it always comes back tenfold. We didn't even touch on that today. And
it's crazy.
I know you do so much of that.
There's too much to talk about. One thing that came up the other day within my family here was about you know, just being of service to others, like just being, like that being the essential, like, focus or theme or, like, you know, philosophy that I think that, that my wife and I try to, or that's where we came to an agreement, and probably why we, you know, stuck together and came together in the first place, is just that, like, the feeling that you get when you serve others, or when you help somebody that needs it, without any real you know, expectation of reward for yourself, other than the feeling that you helped someone. You know, that's kind of like, I think the most beautiful thing that allows us to kind of experience a beautiful life in general. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be in Hawaii. It's definitely something that I think is achievable anywhere on the planet. I was speaking to my mom earlier, and I told her we were going to have a chat, and wasn't sure what we were going to talk about, but, you know, just kind of, she says hi, by the way.
Oh, tell her I said hi back. Thank
yes.
you. You're like, by the way, your mom says hi.
Yeah. Definitely. So she, and I always remember this time when we were down in Virginia Beach, and we were like, she was a single mom doing the best she could, right? So, and she did a great job in the by all senses of the thing. Like nice work, Ma. She killed it. But we were down there, and it was like Thanksgiving time. We were living in a clunker car. Like, we would get cheap motel rooms when we could, but we were trying to sort it out, and I was just along for the ride as probably like a, you know, 8 or 9 year old kid, something like that. But I remember specifically this one time we pulled into a parking lot, I think of a Kmart or something like that, and there was a guy panhandling, and he looked like he was having a rough time, and, you know, rougher than us.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my mom. Sorry, man. Oh, so I remember my mom reaching in to her purse, giving me $5. It was probably her last $5, and telling me to go bring it to the guy. So I did, and I just always remember that. And it was just like, wow, we didn't have that money to give. You know what I mean? But she was like, so she instilled that kind of you know, selflessness and giving in me from way back, and so I just think that, you know, it's a way better feeling to do for others. I guess that's where it comes back to for me. You know, I enjoy it. I look for those opportunities, and
and you want nothing back in return. And I've always been one saying, I'm not going against you know, people who have a lot of money. You give a lot of money, man, but, you know, I always find that the people who have the least are the ones who give the most.
yeah, I agree.
And, you know, and it's not even just have to be monetary. It could be, you know, time. I know, you've done yard work. I've seen you clean out a whole section of area for people and stuff like that. It's about time. And what we're seeing now in the world today, so much division. There's so much head banging and so forth like that. And that's why, you know, Tiffany and I are so passionate about, you know, connecting with just regular people who are just giving their time, you know, that are making a difference. You know, we're not going to be on CBS, ESPN, or anything else like that. Maybe now, who knows if somebody catches it, because you've been on ESPN.
Cool.
Well, you don't need it, right? That's when it'll find you.
Yeah, they'll only find me. I'm that guy, so I was thinking of my beard. That's a whole nother story. But no, but it's really awesome, and that's what we're about. It's like, you know, the world starts. We need the change has to be with us, and there's too much going on. You're raising kids. Tiffany has kids. You know, same here. You know, something's got to change, but it's got to change with us, and we got to stop this division. and being selfish and just start helping each other again. Because otherwise, if we don't come together now, we'll fall apart as individuals.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to be kind, it's so easy to be like, to do the right thing and help people. So, I tell my kids, like, all you need to do is be kind and treat people well, like it doesn't get too more than that. I think, we have so much information and so much connection via computer stuff and phones, but it's so easy for people to maybe make a different kind of thing. I don't know. I just, if everybody took a little bit, took a breath before they reacted or something, and just kind of said, what they want to say in a positive way, that would help. Even if it's something like, hey, I don't believe in what you're saying, or, hey, I think this, we can have a conversation and still be friends. And, I like that you guys are doing this. Thank you guys for showcasing goodness. And that's the best part of it, like more like this, more of this good news.
Yeah, unfiltered. And I know it's Saturday, and I don't know if the waves breaking good today. You getting out? I don't know.
We're in the wrong season out here on the North Shore. The North Shore.
Yeah, North Shore, but I know it's Saturday and you want to get out with the family and stuff like that. But Nick, it's been great seeing you again. I know we'll continue to connect like we always have. I come out there, I know where I'm staying.
Absolutely.
You come out to Pennsylvania, you got a place here. But Nick, thank you, and keep making a difference, man, and your kids' life, people's lives, and just keep serving in the kingdom, brother. And we just thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye, guys.